This is something I wanted to harp on yesterday, but gotta be honest with you guys. While doing the live stream and producing and getting my head above water, it is a little tough at times to have to navigate all these things. But I feel pretty good about it today. Definitely things are more smoother. The mic is on, at least I hope. I think the biggest success of the Arizona Cardinals season was the defense. All year, all preseason, before the season started, in the offseason, one of the things that I kept telling Cardinals fans was, I've been at training camp, I've been on the sidelines with other media members, this defense is rough. And rough was putting it kindly at times for this Arizona Cardinals defense. But when you really think about it, when you really look at the defense this year, not even getting that deep into it, the biggest success of the Arizona Cardinals this year was the defensive side of the ball. And it got me really excited for what the Arizona Cardinals can be next year. Yesterday, we kind of had a glass half empty take. I wasn't exactly ecstatic about the Arizona Cardinals season coming to an end. I didn't think it was necessarily a successful season, given the fact that they completely crumbled down the stretch and it was kind of same old Cardinals narratives. But if you want a half full take, and even if you are so frustrated with the offense of the Arizona Cardinals and their shortcomings and the fact that there just felt like there was a lot of meat left on that bone, man, the defense that we all thought, including myself, was going to be horrendous this year was one of the better defenses in the NFL, not even post-bye, but the whole season. There was a point in the season where they didn't give up a touchdown at home for like a month. And this is with scrap heap guys. Budda Baker is the only star on this defense. If you want to throw Garrett Williams into that mix, go right on ahead. That's two really good players on an 11-man defense. One thing that should get you excited about this team is they have over $100 million in cap space, and they have the ability to go out there and go get other defensive players in free agency and potentially a trade. You know, I went back and forth on this. What makes sense? What big trade makes sense for this Arizona Cardinals team this year defensively? And, you know, I got to be honest with you. Myles Garrett doesn't scratch the itch for me. Older guy, doesn't fit the timeline. No, I don't think it is crazy to think that his best years are indeed behind him, potentially. Not to say he won't be good next year or the year after that. But I think if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you're not targeting a guy like Micah Parsons. I think you have to be realistic when it comes to these trade options. Myles Garrett doesn't make a lot of sense. He's going to cost a ton of draft capital. Micah Parsons, if the Dallas Cowboys are going to keep anyone, it's their stars. That's what they do. They're the Dallas Cowboys. They're the big brand of Texas football. They're not in the business of shooing away stars. Now, are they in the business of doing a bunch of other dumb things? Yes. I think if you're the Cardinals, you're going back to the Max Crosby well. I think if there's one guy that makes sense for this Cardinals defense and to trade significant draft capital for, and whatever, if he wants an extension too, I don't know what that looks like, you pay him as well. Max Crosby makes a ton of sense for this Cardinals team, now more than ever. Offensively, I know they had shortcomings, but they still won 8 games. If you can elevate the floor of this defense, if you can do that, that could change a lot of things for this Arizona Cardinals team. You go ahead and add a Max Crosby into this mix. Combine it with the fact that you have a defensive coordinator in Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon who have been able to scheme up sacks artificially. You throw a guy like Max Crosby into that fold, that makes a lot of sense for this Cardinals team. Micah Parsons, not so much. Myles Garrett, not so much. Whether it's because of age or just doesn't fit the timeline, or just likely his best years are behind him in Myles Garrett, or Micah Parsons, it just doesn't feel very realistic given the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are not in the business of giving up stars. Last year, I thought it was too early to go after that star pass rusher. I needed to see what they could do. But it's time to make a move defensively. And Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon, who have been artificially coming up with sacks for this defense with no star players on it outside of Budda Baker, and I guess you could argue Garrett Williams, they have earned the right. The last time Jonathan Gannon had competent pass rushers, it's not like he squandered that opportunity. The last time on the Philadelphia Eagles, the last time they went to the Super Bowl, he had 4 players on the defensive line who all had 10-plus sacks. The first time in NFL history, the only time in NFL history. If you're going to allocate resources this offseason, draft picks, capital, whatever it looks like, it better be on the defensive side of the ball. And Max Crosby fits that mold. I know he says he doesn't want to leave the Raiders, but if they still don't get their quarterback of the future in this draft, they're rebuilding once again. And I don't know if Max Crosby has the stomach to deal with yet another rebuild. So, with that being the case, you make the call. And to a team like the Las Vegas Raiders, who are definitely going to try to do everything they can to move up in the draft, what better way to move up in the draft is with more draft capital? You give up the Cardinals' first-round pick. That's the 16th overall pick in this year's draft. You combine that with the Raiders' draft pick. You put a couple of other things behind it. You can move up and potentially go get your quarterback of the future. And Max Crosby, because of his timeline, because of his potential athletic peak still ahead of him, he fits the mold of the Arizona Cardinals. And what this team needs is a pass rusher that can do that can unequivocally raise the floor of this defense. And like mentioned before, Nick Rallis, Jonathan Gannon, these guys have earned the right after this year's successful season of defense with no stars on it outside of Budda Baker and I guess again Garrett Williams. They've earned it. They have earned the opportunity to be able to get the guy they want to get. And Max Crosby, he fits that mold. And I understand it's wishful thinking, but we eliminated guys on this show. We eliminated Micah Parsons. Dallas isn't in the process of giving up stars. We eliminated Myles Garrett. A little bit older, probably going to cost a couple of first-round picks. It doesn't make a ton of sense. I think there truly is one big fish that fits this team, and it's Max Crosby. Because of his athletic peak likely being in front of him, the timeline makes sense, and this defense is itching and starving to get a guy on this team. And what is an offensive coordinator in Drew Petzing who feels like although it was a top 15 offense in the NFL, it wasn't a complete just overhaul of nonsense on this team. I mean, you do have to be fair. He wasn't exactly everything the Cardinals needed offensively. Felt like there was a lot of meat left on that bone. And so then you add the fact that Nick Rallis, with nearly no one on the defensive line and no one on the defense as a whole, elevate that floor. I mean, that really gets you thinking if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan. It really shows you that I don't know if they can win a Super Bowl with this formula, but with an offense that you still won 8 games with a defense that, for the love of God, needs a complete and utter facelift, you add a star player to that fold, it could change everything. And so if you're going back to the well, it is without a doubt the Max Crosby-like fold for the Arizona Cardinals. So very interesting definitely something that you should keep an eye on.